is how you import your Guitar Pro MIDI drums into Reaper. So this is what the drums sound like in the Guitar Pro. So there's obviously a few reasons that you want to export your drums MIDI from Guitar Pro. One would be to produce the track so you can mix it and master it and release it. And the other would be to import tracks back in to Guitar Pro to play along to your track with the guitar tabs in real time with the track, which sounds like this. To export your MIDI from Guitar Pro to get it into Reaper, you want to go up to File, scroll down to Export, and MIDI. Then you want to name and save that MIDI file to a folder, and then open up your Reaper session with your drum sampler ready. So what you'll notice when we go to the file that we saved our MIDI, if you drag and import the tabs into the session, and if you don't have this ticked here where it says expand 6 MIDI tracks to new Reaper tracks, you'll get this problem where it'll import all of the MIDI onto one track with all of the instruments. So we don't want that. So you want to make sure we drag and drop our tabs into the session. And we want to make sure we have this ticked here where it says expand MIDI tracks to 6 separate tracks in Reaper. Now all of our tracks match what we have in Guitar Pro. As you can see here, all of our tracks match up and our MIDI matches up. So we could add our session like this. But what if we just wanted to import the drums and not all the other MIDI? What we can do is we can go into the Guitar Pro file here. We can go to our drums and we can click this solo button within Guitar Pro. And if we play back in the Guitar Pro file, you're just going to hear the drums. So now that our track is soloed here within Guitar Pro, we can go up to File again, we can go to Export, go to MIDI, and we can name and save our MIDI drums to our folder. Now, if we go back into our Reaper session here, we can drag and drop our MIDI straight into the Reaper session here, and it's just going to have our MIDI drums. Another way you can import the MIDI drums is go up to View and scroll down to the Media Explorer. And what you can do is you can navigate to the folder where you stored all your MIDI, and you can just click this one and it'll import it in, or you can drag it into the session to the track. So you want to make sure your drum sampler you're using is loaded up on the track. I'm using Matt Griner here. If we press play on the track here, you're going to hear the drums play. And you'll notice we're not hearing all of the drums. Sometimes you may hear no drums. So I'm going to show you how to fix that. So the first thing you want to check is the MIDI map on your drum sampler. So on this drum sampler, you can choose different drum MIDI maps. So on this one, I've just selected the drum map for Guitar Pro 7, but it's not always going to line up. You're going to need to change some things sometimes. So for this one, I've noticed it's just missing the kick. So what I can do is I can double click on the MIDI and we'll just take a listen to see what's missing from the drum kit. So we're just missing the kick drum, which is this one here. So what I can do is I can go to the end of the MIDI and select all of the kick drum or whatever's missing. What I can do is I can just drag it up if it's just this one above it. Another way of doing it is right clicking the MIDI and going to Event Properties and then selecting that note that you want to change it to, which is C2. We hit OK and it's moved our MIDI to the drum kick. So what if you're getting no drum sounds at all? This can happen with different drum samplers. So here I've got One Kit Wonder by Architects on Get Good Drums. And if I press play on that same MIDI, you'll notice we'll hear no sound. So to fix this, we'll need to double click on the MIDI again. And if you select Control A, that's going to select all of the MIDI. You want to zoom into one of the notes and right click. And then you want to navigate to Note Channel. And you'll notice it's in channel 10. Guitar Pro always allocates channel 10 for some reason. So that's one reason that your MIDI is not playing back. So then you want to go all the way up to the top here and select channel 1. So now if I press play on the drums. So now I've got sound again, but the MIDI map isn't correct. So we need to fix that. So you want to go to the MIDI map section of your drum sampler. This one here is currently loaded as Invasion. So that's not going to read our file correctly. We can go down to this one here. It says GM, which is General MIDI. You can see it worked for most of it, but it didn't work for all of the MIDI, but we can fix that within this one as well. So what we could do is we could manually try and find our toms by dragging them up and down. But But a better way with this one is to actually use this function within Get Good Drums, where you can actually click this little red button and then click on the MIDI that we want to change it to. So now if we click the MIDI, it's changed it to that tom hit. And we can do the same for this one here as well. So that's how you can get your MIDI drums into Reaper and play it back and get it working. So hopefully that helped. Be sure to subscribe to see some more videos like this. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.